Here you see the last phase of a game of hide-and-seek. Chemical elements have hidden themselves, precipitated from the atmosphere over a city. This man's a sort of modern Holmes. He puts the dust in a measuring instrument which can detect and register individual atoms. Beforehand, the dust was trapped using special filters and exposed to radiation. Why all this trouble and expense, you may ask, for a little bit of dust? The answer lies in our guiding principle: reduction of the harmful effects of technical equipment on man and the environment. At the same time, we aim at improving the safety and cost-effectiveness of modern technology. Get the idea? Civilization goes hand in hand with technology. Normally, that becomes evident only when something goes wrong. Only the failings of technology open our eyes to the fact that our civilization is in mammoth machinery. Because technology is necessary, and if properly checked, manufacturers and operators founded the TUV more than 100 years ago. Since then, we have become an institution with a long tradition and great experience. From the beginning, pressure vessels were the items most frequently inspected. For this reason, industry engages us to inspect the manufacture of pressure vessels, long before they are under pressure. Because an expert opinion from so competent a source guarantees the customer much more safety. With the help of X-rays, welds are made transparent section by section. The X-ray photos are carefully evaluated and filed away.
Das ist die Stutzenrundnaht, Herr Lüken. Wie ist hier Ihre Bewertung?
Wir haben hier bei diesem Poreneinschluss die Note 2 gegeben.
Ja, das ist in Ordnung.
But that is far from being the end of our work in the pressure vessel field. Many other checks and inspections make certain that every detail of a facility functions reliably and safely. Especially in the field of boiler installations, there is a host of details which can be observed precisely only in suitably equipped laboratories. For this purpose, the Technical Examination and Research Center in Essen was set up. In the test shop for ceramic raw and other materials, we learned something about the quality of the lining of blast furnaces and steam boilers. Once steam boilers have been installed in the basement of factories, tower blocks or hospitals, our air conditioning engineers ensure that the air conditioning system continues to function. They make sure that newborn babies don't freeze and that foodstuffs in the deep freeze rooms don't get too warm.
Fertig?
In order to master every possible trick in heat engineering, we have an experimental boiler plant in Essen with which we investigate closely the effects of temperature, pressure, flow velocity, new exhaust gas valves, fuel oil additives, and many other items. The new heat pumps, which utilize the heat of the soil and solar energy, can be subjected to tropical heat and Arctic cold in a climatic chamber. The stored data serve as a basis for issuing test marks to manufacturers or for drawing up expert reports. Wherever heat, steam, cold, ice, and high pressures are present, we are there and help to save costs. Anyone who has excessively high heating costs in his firm or home can ask us for an expert appraisal. Expert appraisals on heating systems provide information on points where heat escapes and warms the sky instead of the feet of the building's occupants.
Außentemperatur minus 3,0 Grad.
Infrared light makes such points visible with an accuracy of 1/10 of a degree centigrade. When the lamp lights up, a drop of a test solution is broken down into its atomic components. This is done in investigating air pollution. With the atomic absorption spectrometer, we examine primarily samples of atmospheric dust, metals, solid and liquid fuels, and various building materials. The chemists in the inorganic analysis department evaluate what the technicians collect in the field. For example, soot particles from a smokestack. Here, the collecting tube was inserted directly into the stream of rising gases. The measuring aperture is located above the built-in filter of the stack. The measuring technicians bring with them the mobile laboratory. It is used to determine sulfur and carbon levels.
Werte haben, NOx und FeD.
NO kleiner 900 ppm, kein NO2. Gesamt C kleiner 10 ppm.
All this takes place high up over the roofs of the factories. It is the only way to get a visible picture of the invisible internal life of the plant. These men are interested in the sweetish, completely non-toxic smell from custard powder production. For when the wind blows from the east, it brings some people in the nearby housing estate to the verge of despair. Only the human nose is a reliable instrument to determine when the smellable limit is exceeded. And so in olfactometry, the measuring of smells, a team of selected test persons provides the measure of all odors. A mobile laboratory carries instruments and the test team to wherever excessively pungent smells prevail. As long as cars are parked, they are relatively harmless. But on the move, they can well be regarded as troublesome polluters of the environment and atmosphere. Strict legislation alone is not enough to cut down poisonous exhaust gases. Before the motorbike fan can get astride his machine, the detective is in the saddle. In a specially equipped laboratory, he investigates the exhaust fumes of the motorcycle. Every prototype for a new vehicle has to pass this exhaust test. A computer is involved in the proceedings, enabling an objective check of exhaust emissions under various driving conditions. Our expert appraisals are also recognized in exporting countries such as Japan and the USA. All types of engines are pushed up to the limits of their capacity on the engine test rig. All this takes place in a sound insulated cabin. The tester can measure the engine output to the drive shaft in peace and quiet. At regular intervals, we check whether the brakes really do brake.
So, die Bremswerte waren gut.
We have built the test center of the future. Remote-controlled inspection aids and a possibility for the driver to take a look at the underside of his car without having to descend into a narrow pit. All highly practical and convenient for customers. Many drivers take advantage of this opportunity to have their cars inspected on a voluntary basis. A clear indication of improved safety awareness. Everybody knows that negligent handling of motor vehicles mostly also harms innocent third parties. And so we illuminate even the darkest corners. It is particularly dark in the mole-hole galleries of ore mines. Gigantic machines relieve man of the back-breaking work in the mine. The present-day miner has become a controller of technology, but he is still dependent on a well-functioning ventilation system that pumps fresh air into the galleries, and on electricity so that the lights don't fail and the machines respond to push buttons. So it's no wonder that we find one of our engineers at work in a workshop underground. He is taking exhaust samples from a wheeled loader. The work underground subjects man and machine to severe stresses. Regular checking of operational safety helps to prevent accidents and lost working hours. Coal mining has its own specific peculiarities. The men up at the coalface know that they can rely on their flame-proof electrical systems, because not a single leaky relay escapes our eagle eye. Behind the thick steel walls of a power train, the hum of pent-up power can be heard. The entire electrical equipment underground is housed in hermetic casings. Why all that expense? A spark in a switch could have disastrous effects here. The carefully devised ventilation, strict observance of the explosion-proofing regulations, and constant supervision of technical equipment ensure that every day the men and the coal come up to the surface. After a day down in the humid, warm darkness of the galleries, it is a pleasure to see the sunlight. A sigh of relief, once more above ground, in the light, in the hustle and bustle of life on the surface. But hustle and bustle have their drawbacks. One of them is the noise made by our fellow men. It can be a serious nuisance. And in such cases, too, our experienced experts are called upon, wherever the generation and propagation of noise is involved. Here, the possibilities of and limits to noise protection measures are being discussed. Building acoustics is concerned with noise nuisance within buildings, for instance, because of excessively thin walls or poor sound insulation.
Ja, ich habe also an dem Wohnhaus Herderstraße 132 Richtwertüberschreitung von 12 dB festgestellt. Ich glaube nicht, dass wir hier alleine mit einer Schallschutzwand auskommen werden.
In most cases, there is a remedy. Once the cause is known, noise can be countered with suitable measures. With a reference tone generator, the effectiveness of a partition wall for a conference room is investigated. When the wall is in place, two different groups can hold meetings in separate rooms without disturbing each other. These two groups, the hurrying road users and the house occupants, can get along better with each other when a protecting wall keeps off the din of traffic. In cases where traffic has to be channeled through densely populated areas, baffle walls form a shield to ward off the effects of the noise. Measurements of the noise level behind such walls demonstrate this clearly. When measuring noise, it is desirable to exclude the influence of the instrument operator's perceptive faculties. So the recordings are evaluated by a computer. The noise profile, transformed into a bar chart in the real-time analyzer, gives any expert a clear picture of the noise situation in a given location at a glance. The impact of noise on people in particular situations can be measured using special equipment developed in the Industrial Medicine Center.
Sie müssten jetzt einmal die Kopfhörer aufsetzen. Dort werden Sie verschiedene Töne hören. Sobald Sie die Töne hören, bitte sofort auf den Knopf drücken.
The hearing test specially developed for this purpose reveals hearing impairment caused by noise and recommends measures that enable people to live without plugs in their ears. This plant is a very positive example for the combating of noise. On inspecting the workshop, the industrial medicine expert confirmed an excessively high noise level. He recommended a baffle wall. This now limits the noise to a small part of the shop area. Working conditions were considerably improved for all concerned. Our industrial medicine centers concern themselves with the safety factor man. Eyesight tests and medical examinations for commercial drivers make for greater safety on our roads. They also include physical stress tests on a bicycle ergometer. Nuclear power stations to keep industry on the go, say some. Others regard them with skepticism. Nowhere in the world is safety in the field of atomic power taken more seriously than in Germany, on the basis of numerous regulations. This has become widely known in the meantime. Inspection using ultrasonics detects the finest pores in the 30-centimeter thick steel shell. The ultrasonic measuring method has been developed by us to peak precision. Only when every detail has been rated safe can the power plant go into operation. Atomic power is the most modern, but also the most thoroughly monitored technology. Our activities range from the large to the small. The prime object here is protection from dangerous stresses. It should never be forgotten that the strict inspections can only ever take account of the condition of the equipment at the time. Everyone who knows something about equipment appreciates that in the course of time and under load, materials may lose their durability. The seal of quality is a mark of distinction for equipment which has stood up to prolonged tests and series of trials. In this way, our inspecting and supervising activities contribute to ensuring that in the future, children will still be able to play free of care. And in helping to build up the world of the future with renewed courage, we should all appreciate that civilization and technology are interdependent. And to keep technology safely under control, we shall continue to be a reliable partner in the future.